Hello and welcome to IMHO. Today I'm speaking to Erika Varangouli and we're talking about AI overviews. Gen AI and AI overviews continue to be hot topics in the search industry right now, and SEO is still trying to figure out just how much search behavior will change and how much this will impact organic search traffic. Erika is ex-SEMrush and she was the director of search, and she is currently working at Riverside as the head of branded content. So, Erika, I'm going to throw over to you. In your humble opinion, what do you think about AI overviews and how do you think they will impact the industry and where is this going?
Hmm. How many days do we have to discuss this? Um, so so I think we need to start with like the angle at which we discuss it, right? Because I'm privy to many discussions where it's like it's not such a big deal after all. It's I don't know, featured snippets seem to be a bigger thing when it launched. It's not as big as we thought. Or the other way to look at it is like, oh my God, the end is near. They have launched and it's going to be the end of us. So for me is neither one of these two. It's like, yes, we see a smaller kind of presence or impact right now. Maybe we're a bit blind in terms of tracking as well, which I want to remind us all of. But we've been there before. I want to take us back to voice search and the predictions of voice search changing everything, and then everyone feeling very triumphant when it didn't, theoretically. Then the conversations around zero clicks and how they impact us and everything. At the end of the day, I think it goes back to how we view SEO. If SEO is purely the technical side of like, how do you set up something to perform well in search engines, then you're good. Like probably and most likely not much is going to change for you. But if SEO is more and other things on top of that, and it's how you get in front of people when they are on Google or other search engines, then it was never just about how do I get to the top. It's not that, and it becomes harder and harder because it's no longer a search engine. It's no longer just a library as we believed, or some of us did. I think there are smarter people than me who didn't believe that early days, but it is there to engage its users, to keep them and monetize them, right? So we're just a small part of that engine in a way. So I think what needs to change, if it hasn't already, is disengage ourselves from that attachment to the click, right? The conversations have always been around how it impacts clicks and traffic. And I think, what if in reality, SEO was never about the clicks and it was not about owning them? It was about owning that reputation and that conversation. And that space is still there. How it translates, how longer or shorter those journeys become, how much more informed by other sources they are versus what they used to be, that very well changes. But if the approach is like, how do I own the conversation? How do I own the relevant conversations? SEO was never about owning click.
I think we've almost been spoiling away. SEO previously was very much focused on, I'm not going to say I'm going to really upset a lot of people if I say it's one dimensional, but if you look at it, say 20 years ago when it was introduced, it was a much less complex than it is now. And it was very much focused on, as you say, it was very much focused on SERPs and clicks. And that was,
Yeah.
that
And
was sort of your
and I think
fundamental.
it makes sense, Shelley. It does, right? It's like 20 years ago, like pretty much you would just write stuff about car insurance, best car insurance, just make sure you have it everywhere. So in reality, it wasn't about understanding or satisfying an audience, right? But as things develop in, online behaviors, in features, in capabilities, we couldn't just remain to be doing SEO in that way. So I don't have an answer about how much it impacts right now, or how much it will in the future. To a degree, I feel that is also up to bigger companies to determine. But if I take us back to the voice search and like all the discussions around, well, it didn't become a big thing after all. What I've always said, and I still believe in it a lot, is it's not just about the impact we saw in some data. it's the impact in the user behavior. And that is very clear, right? People more and more interact, more and more they converse. All of the capabilities they've been given make those conversations, retrieving information, processing it much easier and much faster, with maybe sometimes like fewer touch points. It doesn't change the fact that they're there to cover a need. And how you cover that need was never just up to SEO, right? I think we were foolish to believe that because someone clicked, even if we track like the conversions with whatever model, many of us with last click attribution, it didn't tell us the whole story. So I think we need to stop wanting to believe that this is the full story, that someone saw, I don't know, an article about what is SEO and they just decided to purchase a service or a tool, and that was it. Like, we need to be much more sophisticated in how we view that.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point there that you say about being sophisticated and obviously focusing on the user. I mean, for me, I've felt for quite a long time that SEO has been maturing and coming full circle into full marketing. So we're having to become full marketers and bring in a lot of skills that previously SEO came out of coders and tech geeks, whereas now we're having to be much more creative and consider so many different, we're having to look across channels and consider so many different aspects. I mean, for me personally, I think actually that's really exciting, potentially how it is adapting it just feels like it is maturing and, expanding as a discipline into something much more interesting.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think even if you look at it this way, go back, we've been in the sphere for a long time. Go back 10 years, right? How many heads of SEO would you find that they were not from a technical background? Because like I worked for years and years, and to me, even, I don't want to upset anyone, but for a long time it felt like I will never be able to ascend in the hierarchy or do much more unless I build on my technical skills. And then look at it now, where you find a lot more people who are heading SEO teams, leading search, the search part of marketing, and their background is not in technical. They still understand, they may have some hands-on experience and a good understanding, but they're not, like, their skills and their strengths are not in technical.
And I think actually moving forward, probably one of the predominant skills is going to be more creativity and just, I mean, obviously SEO has always been about strategy and strategic thinking, but I think even more now it's going to be creative. And also that's probably going to be the one edge that you will have on the introduction of AI, right?
I think so, but I think now it's becoming clearer and clearer that SEO cannot work outside of understanding like basic principles of marketing, of psychology, of branding. You had Morty a while back, and Morty and I usually agree on things, which is I don't know if it's alarming, but we agree. And I think like something that has been obvious, for example, for a long time, is that SEO cannot be independent to brand, right? But it was something that somehow was functional, even if you ignored it for a long time. I think we've way past that point now where we cannot ignore it. And I think whether it happens because nowadays, SEO reports, if they rely on rankings, clicks, traffic, they will not look so good. But at the same time, how SEO can really skyrocket in a business or bring results is only through collaboration and feeding into other marketing disciplines and business, not just marketing, to be honest. So I'm finding myself over the last few years working closer and closer with other teams and other departments than I did 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah. Tell me, at Riverside, are you actually seeing any impact from AI overviews in your space at the moment?
To be honest, I don't think I can answer that, because I feel that what we see is largely very fuzzy and not accurate, right? So I can say, no, I don't see it. I track also other industries, other websites, out of interest professionally. And like with whatever we have to track it, it doesn't look like it's huge. But I don't believe that, as I said, because I'm thinking more okay, how can this impact my audience, the expectations, the user journeys, personalization in the future? So I'm not, even if like my advice to anyone listening and wanting it would be, do not just rely on whatever data set or data tool tells you, okay, here's how many AI overviews I can see in the SERPs. Rely more on understanding your audience needs and prepare for that, right? Prepare for, like, we've seen this before in a way, like we've had when instant answers launched, featured snippets, voice search, all of that. The idea is we now have studies for those things. Like we know about zero-click searches. We know that pretty much 1 out of 4, or half, I think almost half of the clicks in search were going to organic results. Everything else was going to other features or stayed within search, zero-click and everything. Like, to look at it as an overall percentage, it was never great in the first place. It's like less than half of them go to organic, and then only if you're towards the top. But I'd say think of the audience, think of owning the conversations. Don't think in terms of owning the clicks, and you should be fine. And the other big part is understand how AI overviews and LLMs work. There's already a lot of good work being put out by experts in our industry, and I would definitely advise people to track that and read for themselves, like how do they work.
Yeah, I mean, I was just going to ask you then, actually. I think you've kind of preempted me with your really great answer there. I was going to ask you to say, is there anything specific that you're doing at the moment to adapt to how search is changing? But just, I mean, we're about to wrap up now because we're getting to time, but is there any one last thing that you would like to add that, specifically you're doing?
Yeah,
Or
I would say, don't just view SEO in isolation. Work with your PR team, brand team, partnerships, affiliates. Own the conversations where they need to be. Guide them with data or anything else you can, but work with them to achieve results, not on your own.
yeah, I mean, it's all great advice, Erica. Thank you very much. It's been brilliant talking to you. It's short and sweet, but that's the whole idea of IMHO, is to keep it a little coffee-sized break for people. So thank you very much for joining me and giving me your humble opinion. And great to speak to you, Erica. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for having me. Thank you.